Hey guys, it's Brad from GeorgiaProbateResource.com. Appreciate you checking out this video. I'm here today with Josh Nelson with Nelson Elder Care Law out of Woodstock, Georgia and Marietta, Georgia. And he's going to answer some questions for us today. So appreciate you checking this out and I hope these videos help you out. Thanks again. Dealing with an executor or administrator who's out of line or not doing their job, and what do you do about that? I know you guys probably deal with that a lot.
We do, and sometimes it's warranted, and sometimes it's just a miscommunication of expectations. And so again, this goes back to the thought of how long does probate take in each one of its stages? What is the administrator entitled to do? Sometimes people just get scared whenever they get sent this packet of legal stuff because they don't know, hey, do I need my own attorney to interpret this? This isn't legal advice for you, but in most cases, the answer is no. If you really are worried about it, definitely seek counsel. But if you get more attorneys involved, it's going to be a costly process and it's going to take a while. So whenever somebody worries, especially if it's a sibling or an aunt or uncle that's serving as the administrator or executor, the first thing I always recommend, if we think they're doing something wonky, let's talk to them. Let's figure out what it is. And if we want to see statements, if we want to see things, let's ask for them. And you can do that without getting other attorneys involved, just because remember, attorneys by nature in this kind of setting are going to create a very adversarial environment. And we get paid usually about $500 an hour whenever it's a contested probate. And so that's going to add up really fast and start to diminish the estate. So we want to make sure first that it's not just a communication issue that's causing this. Often what really happens though, is there's money concerns about where it is, what's going on with it, and is it disappearing in a way that won't be able to be regotten if we don't act. If that's your true fear, a lot of times getting an attorney involved is going to be helpful, just because an attorney is going to help guide you through what your legal rights are, what you should be seeing, what kind of accounting you can have. And then we'll be able to interpret it for you, because it does come back sometimes as what we call legalese or kind of gobbledygook in a lot of people's eyes. Whenever somebody files for administration or files a will for probate and becomes the executor or executrix, one of the things they have to do is get everybody that's an heir to sign what's called an acknowledgement. And on that acknowledgement, there's going to be 4 things that they ask you to initial next to. One of them is going to be, is the executor bonded? If the executor has a bond and then they take the money and run, then the insurance company that represents that bond will still pay back the heirs and make them whole. That takes a little bit of pressure off of this whole process. If we think that there's going to be some wrongdoing, or if we're worried about that, if it's a step parent and you're a biological child and you're afraid something's going to go missing, a lot of times making sure that that bond is in place and not waived can really go with adding some peace of mind. The second thing that they're going to ask is, do you waive the right to an inventory or accounting? An inventory is done by an administrator or an executor to show what's in the estate from the beginning. This helps us be able to track things going forward, but there is the option to waive this in a lot of cases, just because if everybody's getting along well, it reduces the cost of probate, it reduces the time of probate. But if you're worried that something's not going well, you can always come back later even and ask for an accounting. And what that does is say, hey, person in charge here, show me what we started with in assets, show me where we spent them, and then show me what we got left today. And that's a good way to weed out these concerns over fiduciary neglect, malfeasance, or just in plain terms, somebody taking money they shouldn't have. A lot of these fears come from siblings or step parents thinking that maybe 2 siblings are colluding or teaming up to get more than they should. So if you're worried about that kind of thing in your family, making sure you have a solid plan to begin with. But if you're already in probate and the plan's already set in stone, definitely make sure that you can get that bond if it's allowed. Definitely make sure that you're looking at an inventory and accounting. The other part is just looking at the time frames. So after you get your original acknowledgements, probate is designed to pay creditors first. And if it's designed to pay creditors first, we have to give them notice. So the person in charge is going to place an ad in the newspaper, which I know sounds archaic, but what that does is actually go into these little web crawlers that notify the creditors digitally that say, hey, loved one passed, do they owe you any money? If they do owe you money, you need to reach out to this person. In Georgia, that period is about 120 days. And so if it's a 120-day period, you're going to go for 3 months, 4 months without ever having communication from that executor. And that gets scary for people because it moves really fast at first. And then we hit this 4-month just waiting period before you get your check. And that's where a lot of things, just miscommunication, not understanding the process, gets people worried. You go to work, you talk to your coworker, and your coworker says, I don't understand why you're waiting 6 months to get your check. I got my check 2 days after my mom died. That buries some ideas in your head that maybe somebody's stealing from you. The truth is they probably aren't. It's probably just the process. And maybe your coworker's family had a trust or life insurance or what's called POD, payable on death designations. They had some other mechanism compared to probate. Probate doesn't take 2 days. It's going to take 6 to 9 months to go through. And so with that being known, having the inventory, having the accounting, getting them bonded whenever they're in charge of money that they're not responsible for, things like that are going to help a lot in alleviating your stress. But if you ever see them going on vacations and they're posting pictures on Facebook, you see them buying a new car, a new house, those put all of our feelers up. They make us think about things like, wait, why are they getting paid and I'm not? If that's the case, make sure you communicate with them. And if you get a bad feeling whenever you communicate with them, you're probably at the stage where you need to get legal counsel.
Absolutely. We've even had some cases. One time we had a case where we were buying a house and one of the half sisters didn't really trust the executor, and she really wanted her not to be the executor, but it was like, we told her, like, look, if you're going to try to contest this, you're going to extend this probate out for a lot longer than it needs to be, and you guys just want to get this house sold and get the money now. So one of the options we gave her, we spoke to the bank, and they had actually agreed to allow 2 signers on the bank account so that she couldn't, as the executor, withdraw money only with her signature only. She had to have the other sister to sign off on that too. And that helped alleviate that sister's stress, because then she knew that that one sister couldn't just take the money and run.
That helps a lot too. There's still some things that can happen with that. So it's definitely a good stopgap or a Band-Aid. Right. But there are cases where you and the executor, whether that be a step parent or a sibling or an aunt or uncle, are just in such bad terms. You aren't friends, right, but you're more than just not friends. You really hate each other. We deal with that. We get people that can't accept texts or phone calls from people.
You're doing a case for me right now with a family just like that.
It turns toxic. Yes. And whenever they're doing that, there is an option to have an executor removed, have an administrator appointed by the court. And in some cases, paying that extra money to do that is definitely worth the stress relief. If you're going to be worried to death for 6 months that somebody's stealing from you actively, maybe we need to talk about getting an attorney involved. Maybe we need to get a court-appointed administrator put in place. There's a lot of options to do that. So even if a will says that your stepmom is going to be the executrix of your dad's estate, but you just have some serious fears about that, you do have the right as an heir to go in front of the probate court and make your claim of what that looks like. And usually they're reasonable judges, they're reasonable courts. If you have any merit to what you're talking about, they're going to help you get somebody else appointed to make sure that it's handled without the drama or the family dynamics going through. And yeah, that person is going to get paid a little bit. So in Georgia, they get paid around 5% to do that kind of work. But you'd rather have that stress relief in a lot of cases.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, thanks for that information, Josh. I appreciate it. I hope that helps you guys. I know this was a long video, but it's a pretty complicated topic here, and there's a lot of emotions involved in something like that. So thanks again, guys. I appreciate you checking out the video, guys. Again, this is Brad with GeorgiaProbateResource.com here with Josh Nelson with Nelson Elder Care Law. We appreciate you checking out this videos. If you do have a house that you need to sell and you just want a quick, easy, fast cash, no BS offer, we'd love to buy the house from you. Or if you want to go the traditional route and list it the traditional way with an agent, I am a licensed agent in Georgia with one source in Woodstock, and I'd be happy to help you with that as well. So thanks again, Josh, for your time, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video.
Thanks so much, Brad.